Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott. We're on Hump Day and we're getting into the UFO world. From the MUFON Board of Directors, Bob Spearing is here to take us down a UFO road. We're going to have a great time with him tonight. But first, we need to say hello to each and every one of you, including T-Bone make that Tim Mothman in the gold medal position. T-Bone with a silver, Paramarv with a bronze medal tonight. Kitty Cattywhack, how are you? Mel WD-40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show because you cannot talk aliens without getting nice and lubed. So thank you, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well. Michael Morris, the attorney at large, how are you? Race fan, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. Robert Lamoth, Frankie B, and Ray True Colors, welcome to SOR Chat tonight. Luscious Jules, nice to see you as we say hello to Thunderhead as well. And Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, thank you for coming on in. Mama Catherine, there's my lady. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great day. I know you're going to enjoy this one tonight. So sit back, relax, and I'll do all the work. I will. It'll be a great show. Necessary Dialogue, how are you tonight? As we continue on with our roll call here. Amber Dawn Glover, how are you? My good friend. Amber will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Glenn John McEnroe is here, the pride of Wimbledon. Jaquetta, how are you? Nice to see you tonight. Let's see here. Mickey G, nice to have you here. Flat Six, good to see you. And Jay Truth, always a pleasure to have you here as well. Thomas Rock, thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, Honest Content and Carol Amario. Nice to see you both. We scroll on down, and it's Pam Harris, everybody. Benno, how are you? My friend, how are you? As we scroll on down, Steve Mateo, thanks for coming on in. Lex Diaz is here. Lex Diaz will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Sharon Sunshine, nice to see you. Jennifer, nice to have you here. Undead Jed, thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Flubber Lane. And Mickey, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Whistling Mike, how you doing, brother? Archon, nice to see you. And who is next on our list? Well, let's scroll on down and let's take a look here. JSCO, nice to have you here. Evan Walters, we haven't even really started and you've pissed me off already. You know it's going to be a good show when Evan pisses me off. Mr. Catfish, good to see you. And Mr. Cowley, how you doing, my friend? Tamisha, nice to see you tonight as we continue on with our roll call. And who is next? Who's next? Shane Gord is next, everybody. And who is after him? Well, let's just scroll on down and find out. We're scrolling. Chris Irvin, how you doing? Matthew Goodka, nice to see you, brother. Jessica S. T-Bone, thank you for that great super chat. I love you, buddy. Thank you very much for coming on in and dropping that nice super chat. And Digger Dog, good to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott from MUFON. Bob Spearing is here to talk about the UFO story. It's a big one that's going on. We're in roll call on our YouTube side right now. Morwick, how are you tonight? Thank you for joining us. And anybody else? I think we're caught up, everybody. I think we're caught up. Remember, the super chat is open. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Get your gear at spacedoutradio.com/shop, and you'll be glad that you did. You will. I promise you. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shh, be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's that really happening next. We're together, friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. We got tickets right now at cariboucon.com. Come on up to British Columbia, September 18th through 20th, for the best paranormal conference this province has to offer. We have a great show coming up for you tonight. Bob Spearing from the MUFON Board of Directors will be with us momentarily to talk about UFOs. What's going on politically? What is going on? Is this a cover-up? Is this false information? You name it, we're getting into it deeply tonight. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another spooky story. We will follow that up with Terry Hall and his fantastic mustache coming on in for the weird news of the week. Bob Spearing serves as the Director of International Investigations for MUFON and has been actively involved in UFO research and investigation since joining the organization as a field investigator in 2014. A graduate of Fordham University with a degree in communications, Bob's academic background includes concentrations in journalism, advertising, public opinion, propaganda, and film production. Over the years, Bob has become deeply involved in some of MUFON's most significant projects, including the Project Aquarius historical database, which contains more than 2 terabytes of UFO-related information, the establishment of the Pine Bush UFO Museum in New York, and the MUFON Observer social network. He also helps conduct interviews on MUFON's YouTube channel, which we highly suggest you check out. And I do have to thank Bob because a couple months ago, he actually had me on as a guest, and I really enjoyed that time. Let's bring him on in. One of our good friends on this show from MUFON, Bob Spearing. It is a pleasure to have you back on the show. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you? It's good to be back. I think the last time we were on together was in December. And then I had you on after that on our YouTube. So it's good to be back.
Well, I'm glad you're here too, my friend, because, you know, you are one of the people I've wanted to talk to since these tranches of UFO files came out, or should I say UAP files, because I don't think any of them are UFOs. But when you look at everything, are we trending in a good direction here with this subject?
My honest opinion, and I guess that's what you want, is that no, I think we're just treading water. I've always been the suspicious type. What's the magician doing with his left hand while he has us looking at his right hand? And as far as the latest tranche of documents, videos, and photographs that the war.gov website has released, I am not impressed. All right, a lot of it is just blobs on the screen, and worse is the fact that none of these videos, even the videos that they've been shown in Congress, none of them have metadata. All right, or the metadata isn't available to the public, and the metadata would tell you specifically if it's a hoax or not, whether the date is correct, the place that the action took place is correct, and with the iPhones, you can tell where that photograph or video is taken to within 1 foot on the planet. Okay, we get none of that from all of these documents. They're just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks and hoping that the UFO community is eventually satisfied and quiets down for a while. That's what I think's going on.
Bob, for people who may not know, please explain what metadata means.
Okay, when everything went digital from analog, maybe 20 years ago, including television stations, every digital photograph and every digital video has data embedded in it. And there's different software programs where you can actually access the metadata, or it's also called EXIF data. And it will tell you a whole bunch of stuff, whether or not the video was played around with software and altered. It'll tell you to within 1 foot on Earth where that photograph or video was taken. It will have the date, and it will have the time to within 1/10 of a second when that video started or when that photograph was taken. Everything that's coming out of Congress, and even Congressman Eric Burleson, when he showed the Yemeni Hellfire missile takedown several months ago at a congressional hearing, he even said, I haven't vetted this. I'm not even sure where it came from. So no metadata on any of the Trump files that have been released. No metadata from these filmmakers either that tease us and say they're going to show us more videos that were leaked to them. None of this shows any metadata, so none of it can be proven. It's all basically garbage.
As a board member of MUFON, obviously your group has been watching this very, very closely. You guys have, more than 50 plus years of investigating UFO stories. You are just not about reporting UFOs that that anybody could see, whether it's a reflection from a ceiling light, a chandelier, or whether it is an actual unidentified flying object. You guys do your due diligence, and I think you guys are still, in my opinion, the #1 group in the world when it comes to reporting. Outside of, I would say Opus is a close #2. Les Velez and his team do a great job, but they also talk more about the woo than you guys do, which is fine. There's room. Okay. The other ones, there's the one that starts with E, the government one. I mean, places like that are just trash for people. If you want, if you want the government, let me just stand on my high horse here for a second. If you want to have your information delivered directly on a silver platter to the U.S. government and the agencies, please go to that E1. Otherwise, stick with what works, which is MUFON, maybe Opus, or others that are going to try and get you some real help in what you saw. Sorry, Bob, I had to do that. I had to.
Well, I just want to mention something about the E people, okay? When you go to MUFON.com, or even if you go to NewFork, even Arrow, all right? And there's a website you can go to called Blacklight, and you can punch in any website, and it will tell you how many tracking cookies there are that's tracking you on a website. MUFON, we have between 0 and 1, because Google's always trying to put their cookie in. Same thing with NewFork, 0 to 1. The E people, that 59 cookies. Every time you submit a report to them, your information is being tracked and probably sold to other corporations, if not the government.
That's kind of amazing, Bob.
It's kind of scary too. Yep.
That is, I mean, Josh Rutledge is a friend of yours. He's a friend of mine. He's chief investigator for MUFON Arizona, and I remember he was laughingly upset that his reports that he had never filed to the one site ended up on that site as one of their investigations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
first of all,
open, that's
yeah,
open thievery.
Josh is a good guy. He just wrote a fantastic article on artificial intelligence. It's actually in our newsletter this week. And if somebody wants to get on our news list, go to MUFON.com. At the bottom, scroll down to the bottom. You can put in your email, and every 2 weeks you'll get a newsletter with some sort of timely article or case of the week or something like that. That was my little pitch for the newsletter. But yes, we've seen cases from our database appear on other databases, usually with the watermarked videos, so we sort of know they're not backdooring into us. They're just scraping as a member or a member of the public when we put out our latest 20 reports. So, but yes, we see our reports on other websites. New Fork sees theirs on other websites, and actually, I don't know if you knew this, but New Fork and MUFON got together and we started writing letters to people asking them to take our databases down. It's a joint effort with New Fork.
Oh, I was just going to ask you that too,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, the thing that I don't like, it's one thing. Let's say my website, Spaced Out Radio. Let's say I'm using MUFON reports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I am giving you credit for those reports and directing people to your website, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to be this one website that starts with E, and I'll just say it, it's called Enigma Labs, okay, who is literally stealing reports from MUFON, from New Fork, from all of these other places. The problem is that they're claiming those reports as their own, that people are reporting it directly to them. In the meantime, they're stealing everybody's hard work. And they can't even come after me as a journalist on this because the proof is in the pudding. They would have to prove that I am wrong. And even if it's one case like Josh Rutledge's or the many other cases that MUFON has out, if they came after me for it and said, you have to stop talking about Enigma Labs that way, you are disparaging this company, well, take me to court. I'm pretty sure MUFON, New Fork, and others would stand behind me as witnesses.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, they do crappy analysis. Their definition of a USO is anything within 10 miles of a coastline or a waterway. I call them UAP or UFOs. I don't know if they're not in the water, over the water, under the water. They're not USOs to me. They also have, I guess, connections to a lot of media outlets where they'll report something that they make seem very startling, but has been going on for decades, and they make it seem new. And that's part of the whole thing that's bothering me now about the UFO field in general, because I sense a lot of people are trying to make a lot of money, from the smallest podcaster to Steven Spielberg to Lockheed Martin. It seems like everybody's looking for an angle. Okay, so I just don't trust anything that's going on anymore. I feel like the United States government has that. I think Steven Spielberg got bankrolled by the United States government for all this free advertising he's getting from this file dump. All right, is it all coordinated? Is it all just coincidence? I don't think so.
There's been a lot of talk about that, Bob. And of course it's just speculation, but he just couldn't be that lucky that all of a sudden that's the date he picks that his movie is going to come out. I believe it's what is it, June 15th it's coming out, or June 12th or something along those lines. And trust me, I'm excited to see it. I really am. But you can't tell me that he just lucked out on that date.
Yeah, it's the same. I got nothing against Jeremy Corbell, but the same thing. The day that the files dropped on war.gov was the day the movie about Jeremy came out. It's like a coincidence, or is this all planned? Is I guess my opinion on what's happening right now. It's all coordinated, I think.
So do you think that there is, when you say it's all coordinated, do you think there is some sort of conspiracy theory going on regarding this subject on who's allowed to report on it and who's not?
Oh, I believe that all the way back to the days of what's her name, Leslie Keene and Blumenthal from the New York Times. Why does the New York Times get called into the skiff? All right, it almost seems like they're managing a disclosure, whether it's a real disclosure or a fake disclosure. It seems like the government has their people that they're going to leak stuff to, so that it comes out in a certain way. Okay, and to be honest with you, I think that the real story going on right now is the scientists that are getting murdered. I think what's the real story. So if we're busy with Steven Spielberg and file dumps that show blobs on screens, it's trying to detract away from the dead and missing scientists, is what I feel.
Well, that opens up a whole different can of worms.
Oh, I could go into the scientists. I mean, my God, I just spoke in Germany at a convention. It was a great convention. It was in Frankfurt. It was called the Ultimate UFO Conference. There was like 1,000 people there. But I talked about the missing and murdered scientists. Do you know in Germany, they didn't even know that story? The zeitgeist for the UFO community is totally different there than it is in the United States. Plus the fact a number of people at this conference told me that the German government actively suppresses UFO stories. So they're not hearing everything that's going on.
Bob Spearing from MUFON is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bob, we're going to save the scientists for just a little bit here because it is important to talk to. The videos that have come out,
right?
Do you expect more videos to join in whatever this next tranche of files is expected to come out? We're hearing it could be the 6th. We're hearing it could be next week. What do you think?
I think it's going to be relatively short term. I think within the next 10 to 14 days, the next batch is coming out. And according to David Grush, it's going to get progressively more intense. So that's something that I'm really interested in waiting to see if that's what really happens, because the first two bunches of files I was not impressed with. There was some interesting Roswell stuff in the first batch, but the videos could have been anything. The one video that I really wanted to see, and which we did review on our YouTube channel, is probably going up next week, was that Lake Huron shoot down. After the Chinese balloon got shot down on February 3rd, 2023, the United States government shut down 3 other things. And we've talked about this in the past. Barrow, Alaska, on the tundra, Yukon forest, northern peninsula of Michigan, Lake Huron. The Lake Huron shoot down apparently had a video, like a FLIR camera, a gun camera video taken from the plane that shot it down. Okay, so I was really impressed that Anna Luna got that to be in the latest dump. So when we went through it, of course, the first problem is there's no metadata. So you really can't prove that we're actually looking at an object getting blown apart over Lake Huron. Could be anywhere, could be any time. All right, so what's interesting about that video is the way the object explodes. If you look at the Chinese balloon shoot down in the Atlantic, near the Carolinas, there's a picture of the Navy pulling that into a boat, and it's pretty much all intact, just deflated. But when you look at the video of the Lake Huron shoot down, it shreds almost like paper. So we know it wasn't a Chinese balloon, or at least a balloon of the same manufacturer. But it seems to me that it is a balloon, and maybe it wasn't something so terrible that they couldn't tell us. Maybe it was something so embarrassing they didn't want to tell us. So I would classify the Lake Huron shoot down right now temporarily as a balloon, probably a hobby balloon. The way it shred looks like it was just fabric or material.
The disappointing part for me on that one, Bob, is that they're claiming it as a UAP. To me, the argument, and I know my audience is sick of me saying this, and I'm sick of saying it, and you and I have discussed this before. Every source that I've had that has said that UAP or man-made objects was proven with that video.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's what you've heard.
Yes.
Okay. All right. One, it was supposed to be an octagon. The pilot said it was an octagon, but when you look at it, it doesn't look like an octagon to me. Maybe that's because it was on a thermal camera, but it almost looks like a spermazoa. All right. It's sort of round. It's got a dark spot in the middle and a tail hanging down from it. Almost looked like a balloon or something organic. All right. So, but I don't think it's a craft that proves UAPs exist. I just don't. I think it was probably very lightweight and just puffed into dust.
I'm still surprised they included it, to be blunt.
That's the one I was waiting for 3 years, but again, there's no way to prove that we're actually looking at the Lake Huron object, and that's my whole angst going on about these videos. They're not giving us any metadata proof.
What does Bob Spearing want to see?
I'd like to see them land on the White House lawn. For me, it's like I think that we all know that there's something going on. I don't know if it's aliens, time travelers. We're getting so many stories, all right? Now that they treated some sort of alien from the future, but from a different timeline, or it's future human. I'm hearing so many different stories coming out, and that it's so dark. Just hug your children tonight because once you die, it's like it almost seems like they're playing a game. It almost seems like they're setting us up for Project Bluebeam or something. It's like in slow motion, though, so we don't realize it. Okay, but I don't think we've seen any UAP so far.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point about the WWE type promos that we have heard from Lou Elizondo. Hug your children. Tim Burchett. If the public knew what I know, they would burn the world down. We're getting a lot of these. Like, what's next? Are we stepping into the squared circle and calling for a cage match or tables, ladders, and chair match? I don't know. But we are getting a lot of emotional quotes on this while we are getting very little in information in return. Is that a fair trade, Bob? As we got just under 2 minutes to go before the break.
No, I think we're just getting played. I think that the UFO community and the general public at large are being played. That a lot of this is just to promote certain individuals, certain movies, certain government agendas, and they're just playing us. Okay, and I can go into that more after the break if you'd like.
Well, give us a little sample of that.
So, what's going on with all of the filmmakers is what bothers me. There's no metadata, but they're all pushing all of these video clips. All right. Two, you don't know if Lou Elizondo is still in intelligence, if David Grush is still in intelligence, if they've got a double agenda. They're letting us see certain things, but they actually know what's really going on, and that's not the stuff we're going to learn. I mean, some of these scientists disappearing, but yet all of these whistleblowers, well, not all of them, some of the whistleblowers have died too, but the Grushes and stuff, it's like, I can't believe that they could get away with saying this without, facing the threat of harm. Okay, so that makes, and Lou Elizondo too, makes me wonder whose side they're on sometimes, I guess is what I want to take that.
Has MUFON's investigated this at all?
No, as we just put a team together to start analyzing all of the videos, and there's like 10 team members. Whenever we need to get something done at MUFON, we ask for volunteers, and we usually get a whole bunch. When we redacted the Stringfield diaries, 12,000 pages, I thought it was going to take 2 years. It took us 6 months. So we have a team dedicated now that's working with our photo analysis team, and we're going to go through as many of the interesting videos as we possibly can.
Bob Spearing, he is MUFON's International Development Director. You can find him and his work on MUFON's YouTube channel or MUFON.org, the website. We'll be right back with the second half hour. My neighbor 2 houses down
Mm-hmm.
has 3 corgis.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is an absolute barkaholic. And this dog will not, I've got my window open because it's actually nice out tonight.
Right. It's
And
nice.
this dog just will not shut up.
Yeah, corgis are noisy.
Driving me nuts.
I only had one dog in my whole life, a beagle, and it was the quietest beagle you ever heard. Didn't make a noise. All right, like beagles do.
I like beagles.
Oh, they're the only dog I like, is beagles.
I'm a big German Shepherd guy. Big German Shepherd guy. I'll never have another one, but I guess I shouldn't say never, but we have a little dog now. We have a little lap dog, a little 4-pound purebred Chihuahua.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, I'm done with dogs. Like, I love that little dog. He's so awesome, but you know, just the freedom that you can get afterwards.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because when we used to go away on vacation, we have to leave him at the doggy pound that pets are us or whatever for like 10 days, and he'd be all in a panic, you know, that we're never coming back. So yeah, I don't want to go through that again. Plus, my dog got cancer. It was a mess.
Yep.
I don't want another pet.
No. I agree with you on that one. Totally agree.
Actually, I do have a little pet outside. I live in a forest, so outside I got a little chipmunk friend named Howie. I throw him peanuts, and he comes and sits next to me and eats peanuts while I'm out on my porch.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Howie.
I'm trying in my area. I'm trying to get the crows on my side right now.
Well, crows are smart. They'll bring you gifts if they like you.
Well, we actually last week we had I guess we had a windstorm, and I guess their nest with their 3 almost fully grown babies was blown out of the tree. Mm-hmm. So the 2 of the babies were in our yard, and I was trying to feed them, and they were squawking at me. They were throwing stuff at me, and I'm just like, hey guys, I'm just trying to feed your babies and bring them water here. You know, I was just talking to them, you know, and the one the other day, 4 to 5 days ago, he jumped up he was on our patio, one of the babies, and my son was like right there feeding him out of his hand, and Mama and Pop didn't seem to mind. So I think they're going to be okay.
Yep. Once they like you, they have long memories too, and they will bring you gifts eventually. They'll bring you little rocks and stuff.
I don't mind. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Terry Mills, how you doing? Number 1, Nicole Sackage, how you doing? And who else we have here? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. You know, the weird thing that I'm trying to decipher right now is that my investigation site, Bob, there's one area where we have these ravens will go crazy, and it's always in the one area. And I swear, and I'm sure it's just like some sort of audio pareidolia that I'm hearing, but I swear underneath those ravens, there's something else talking.
Really?
Oh yeah. And it's like, man, I want to try and get in that deep and leave like a recording device just to see what happens. Just an audio recorder. East Coast turnaround on X. How you doing, my friend? All right, Bob, we got about 45 seconds here. All right. Good times. Thank you to T-Bone and Mickey for our first 2 super chats tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do nightly on Spaced Out Radio. I also I demand, damn it. I need a thumbs up. It helps with our algorithms as Dave is learning to talk. Algorithms. So if you could, give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to leave a comment after the show. Tell me what you think. We'd appreciate that. And we're coming back in 10 seconds here, everybody. All right, here we go, Bob. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are here with Bob Spearing. He's part of the MUFON Board of Directors. He is their International Development Director. Before we bring Bob back on, I want to remind all of you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in our Space Travelers Club. Bob Spearing from MUFON is here. We're having a great time and a deep conversation. And Bob, you know, there are people out there, including listening in our chat room and out there in the world saying, you UFO wingnuts, you guys have begged and borrowed and kicked and scratched and cried and whined for disclosure for so long. You finally have it, and you're not getting you're not acting very nice towards those who are releasing it. Are we being a little two-faced here, Bob, with what has been released so far, knowing that it's got to start somewhere? We know it's going to be a slow drip and not just a runny faucet. I'm just curious what you think on that.
Friday, when I speak at Pine Bush, I'm giving the same presentation that I gave in Germany. And basically, I think there's three possibilities. One, it is the slow drip of disclosure and they're being very careful about it. Maybe because it would panic the public, or they have to be careful they're not giving away secrets to Russia and China. But that's one thing, that it may be actual disclosure. I'm not optimistic. Second is that it's a grift, that there's a lot of people making a lot of money right now, and that this is all sort of coordinated. And it's actually culture changing. They're basically toying with the culture by doing this on a mass scale with UFOs. Or third, it's the greatest psyop the world has ever seen. All right, and where it's going, I don't know, but you know, more and more people are talking to me saying, "Hey, do you think this could be Blue Beam?" And I'm saying I'm not there yet, but you know, if they start projecting stuff on the atmosphere, I'm going to start to believe that we're there. All right, and that this what's going on now is just the beginning in slow motion. Who knows? World government, digital currencies. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole too if it is, you know, a giant psyop. What are they trying to change in the world? What do they want all those data centers for? Huh? How much computing power do you need? What are they computing? All right. I think they're trying to make a. If you ever saw a movie in the 70s, Colossus, the Fordham Project, about a supercomputer that takes over the world, I'm worried about that with the data centers. So three things: it's either a slow drip of real disclosure, it's a grift, or it's a psyop. That's my three opinions right now on what's going on with this, all of this stuff.
A lot of people have discussed the psyop aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
We really haven't gone down that road very much here. Why do you think it's a psyop?
The reason I think it could be a psyop is because all societies are moving towards more control over their citizenry. Digital currencies will make it impossible to give a kid $5 for shoveling your snow. Okay, COVID, I believe, was a test, all right, a control test, just to see how much people would react and obey. And I think the same thing's going on with the UFO releases. They want to test to see what human beings' reactions are to information like this, so that they can use it to their own advantage. That's why I think that this could be a setup for Blue Beam. Blue Beam technically wasn't possible in the 20th century, but now we have the technology. When Star Wars was being developed in the 1980s under President Reagan, Oppenheimer was on the actual Star Wars team, and he said that we won't have this technology until the first quarter of the 21st century. And he was exactly right, because if you look at the Star Wars schematics for Operation Brilliant Pebbles satellites, they look exactly like Elon Musk's Starlinks in the first quarter of the 21st century. I do not think that Starlink is just for internet service. I think it may serve multiple purposes, including military, because he's also involved with Star Shield, I believe is the name of the contract, anti-satellite killing satellites. And that's pretty much what I think Starlink is becoming. But there's a third possibility in that if you've seen in the Middle East, like in Dubai and Kuwait, some of these, Abu Dhabi, they're projecting holograms into the air at hotels. Okay, we're having digital concerts with dead musicians. All right, I don't think it's a stretch to turn the atmosphere into a giant projection screen. And if they want to, bring in a new world order by having their Messiah return, or they'll have a fake alien invasion so that we all band together under one government to fight the aliens. That's where I think we might be going if this is the beginning of Project Bluebeam.
That's a scary thought. It's a scary thought that we might be going down that road, because, we look at the innocence of this topic.
Mm-hmm.
We really do. Okay. The majority of people don't care what the government has to say about it. They've already had their own disclosure because they've seen things in the sky, or maybe on the ground. Maybe they've been abducted or had some sort of ET contact. They don't need that formulaic disclosure, my fellow Americans speech.
Mm-hmm.
What they need is somebody to answer the one question that they want more than anything. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Okay, why has this affected my life? I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. It's happened, and now it doesn't seem to stop at times. That's the big question for the majority of people here. It's usually the people on X, the scientists, the government officials who are pushing all the rest of the in my opinion, nonsense of this subject. I don't care about the propulsion systems. I don't care about the free energy. I don't care about that. I
don't either. I want to know who they are and where they're coming from and what they want.
There you go. That's the stamp of approval right there.
It's interesting because when right now I'm investigating bedroom intrusions, not necessarily abductions, but the way I operate is I'm always looking for patterns. And there are so many patterns in the 147,000 cases we have in our database. Never mind Newfork, they've got 170,000. All right. When you see the same thing over and over and over again, when you see these bedroom intrusions with the wall opening up and the machine comes in with the entity and they have a needle at the end of it and it's drilling into the kid's head or the adult's head or whatever. When you see that, 100, 200 times, for me, that's disclosure. That's telling me that that's a pattern, and that something is going on. Because what's the main problem with ufology? It's always been lack of physical evidence. Okay, very rarely do we get a piece of debris, and when we do, it gets robbed from my mailbox. By the way, all right, the Russian sample a couple of years ago, but we were lucky enough to get another sample. So yeah, that's what I think is going on sometimes.
I wonder if this is a big charade. They already have the media on this subject, because the media has not known how to cover this subject since it became popular.
And now all of this
questions asked. If the media, and I said this on WABC last night with Walter M. Sterling, if the media truly cared about this subject, they would go straight after NASA. They would look at the books and they would see people from Bill Nelson on forward lying about this subject, though there's nothing in space that I want to swear so bad, but I won't. that BS $100,000 study where the scientists were snickering and laughing. No, there's no UFOs or little green men here. It's all, we couldn't find anything. And then all of a sudden, alas, the files come out and we find out they've been lying all along.
Mm-hmm.
If the media cared or knew how to cover this subject, NASA would be their focal point, and nobody's touched it. NASA's been like Teflon.
Never a straight answer, right, NASA? Never a straight answer. Well, the media, I believe that just like in World War II, the government goes to them and says, we need you to push some propaganda, okay? And I think the government went to them and said, look, it's UFOs this time. We need you to have the public looking this way while we do something else. That's why I believe that the New York Times is brought into the skiff after these congressional hearings. Who are they to be the arbiters of what truth is about disclosure? All right. So I think they're all in bed together, the government and the media. And all of a sudden, and you brought this up at the MUFON convention in Las Vegas when you spoke there, why now? For 80 years, the media has poo-pooed us, laughed at us, called us tinfoil hat conspiracists. And now all of a sudden, I believe they're doing the government's work and probably a bit of Steven Spielberg's work too. By all of a sudden, everybody's taking it serious. We're not worthy of mocking anymore. It's like, oh, it's real. It's real. There's something going on because the government's releasing all of these videos without metadata, So I think the media is in bed with the government. It's a propaganda campaign, and they're very good at that. Since World War II, they've been very good at that.
Bob, who overall then is controlling this narrative? Who do you think?
I think the CIA. I think at the top of all of the legacy programs and all of the Project Grudge, Project Sign, Project Aquarius, Project Red Light, Project Blue Book, is the CIA. All right. And I don't think even Trump or a lot of the other presidents know, because they're considered temporary employees of the government. So they know they're going to be gone in 4 years. So why tell them anything? All right. So I think that after I think it was the Nixon taking Jackie Gleason to Homestead Air Force Base to look at dead aliens, I think the CIA stepped in after that and made sure that presidents only need to know if they need to know. Otherwise, they're not told what's going on. So I think it's the CIA. Always has been, always will be.
If you were to draw a diagram of what you want to happen, or maybe not you personally, but MUFON in general, okay, and I realize it's hard to speak for everybody in MUFON. You got hundreds of volunteers and a board of directors, and you don't want to speak for all of them as one voice. But if you were to draw this out from a MUFON point of view, what should be happening? How should this be going?
But I unless we start getting substantially good videos and photographs or trace evidence, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. One of the new things, we're coming out with a new database in August. It's going to be called Andrus. It's named after Walt Andrus, our founder. It's automated blah, blah, blah system, all right? But it's going to be far more specific for the witnesses to answer questions. It'll be quicker for witnesses. It'll go from like 40 minutes to 8 minutes for a witness to do it. But there's going to be a very important box, all right, to check. Do you have physical evidence? And this is where we screwed up for the past 30 years. We don't ask people that till it's too late, or the person will mention it in the narrative and it's not followed up on. Now, every time a person checks, yes, I have some sort of material other than photographs or videos, I'm going to get an email. Dave McDonald, the executive director, is going to get an email, and Steve Hudgens is going to get an email. And we're going to reach out to the witness to procure the samples to get them to our lab. So I anticipate that in the near future, more trace evidence is going to become available when people know how to submit it. And that's my hope.
Okay, but what about from a governmental standpoint, a public standpoint? How would you, if you were in control of all this, how would you want this disclosure movement to happen?
If you're going to release videos, have metadata. All right. I want more physical evidence for our lab. So that's one method we're going to do to get more physical evidence sent our way. All right. But unless we get metadata, when we analyze photographs and videos, the person sends us the raw data. We can analyze those pictures. The ones that Congress and the government are showing us now, we can't. So what do I think will satisfy MUFON? I think absolute video that has metadata would suffice of a craft and aliens, right? Or a very exotic procured piece of material that, when analyzed, has the properties similar to my Russian sample, which I believe Lockheed Martin now has. And a scientist by the name of Richard Bandurek says this technology from 200 to 300 years in the future, and they have reverse engineered it. Okay, so I want stuff like that. I want physical proof. I want visual, or I want something you can hold in your hand that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt what's going on. Because statistics will only take you so far. I can give you all the statistics in the world and say, here, this is proof. I got 200 cases that the same thing's happening, but I don't have any evidence. So I don't know who's going to believe me on that. I want good physical evidence, and I want good photographs and videos with metadata, or I want the craft to land on the lawn of the White House.
What about Roswell? Where does Roswell sit in all of this, in your opinion?
I think Roswell was real, okay? And that's because I've read a lot of the Leonard Stringfield diaries, and for people who really want to know what was going on between 1947 and 1990, the 12,000 pages of the Leonard Stringfield files is where to go, okay? Now, there's a lot of interesting things in the Stringfield diaries about Roswell. There's also pasted into his diaries a portion of a book by Bill Moore, where Bill Moore was rewriting his Roswell book. And there's a story of, it has to be Val Thor. The fellow goes with the owner of the news station, Whitmore, and his reporter Joyce. They go out to the Brazil Ranch, but another guy gets in the car with them that same day. You've never heard this story because it's in the Stringfield diaries. All right, guy's wearing a gold lame suit, just like Val Thor. This is 30 years before Val shows up in Washington. They go out to the site, and Joyce, the reporter, is told by this guy in the gold suit, "You stay here," and goes out to the crash site with Whitmore, the owner. Whitmore comes back alone, leaves the guy in the desert to die. Somebody picked him up. Was it Victor 1, Val Thor's spaceship? But anyway, the point is, why would Val Thor be there? And I believe it has something to do with something else that's prominent in the Leonard Stringfield diaries, and that's the headbands that were recovered from Roswell, and I believe it's the Kingman, Arizona crash retrievals, where, and this goes into the Jake Barber stuff, the psionics, that maybe the craft was alive and that the Greys were pretty much what they call meat robots, okay, that were connected biologically to the alien craft, okay. And now I've lost my train of thought. So where was I going on that?
Just what you feel should happen with disclosure.
Yeah, evidence. Oh, okay. You asked me about Roswell. That's what it was. So
yes.
The headbands, I believe, made their way to Norton Air Force Base in 1968, and there was a Colonel John Williams there who claimed that they had a crash retrieval in Norton. And there was a project called Project Red Light, where they were trying to communicate with a crash retrieval at Norton. And they had somebody hooked up to these headbands. And who shows up again but the guy in the gold lame suit? All right. So I think that there's something very, very, very important about the Roswell headsets that the United States government recovered, and they reverse engineered it successfully in the 80s, I believe. That's the Roswell story I wanted to tell you.
Could Roswell break this hole open for the public?
I think so. I think Roswell was real. I do. I don't think it was a weather balloon. I mean, when you look at that telegram now, they've analyzed it with AI that the officer was holding. You can see crash disk. Okay, it wasn't a weather balloon. There's also other reports from 1947 in that same summer time frame where people knew nothing about Roswell and were reporting things. Kenneth Arnold's one. There were several more. There was another crash in 1947. So I think that Roswell was real. It wasn't the only thing going on in 1947. I think it's theoretically possible that the radar system at White Sands got turned on accidentally took it down, and that's how they developed the electronic pulse weapons today, Project Red Light, that they're using to take down these craft now. The weapon, by the way, is codenamed Gabriel.
Where is this Gabriel located? Do we know?
I know one case where it was used, and that was in Mauritius Bay, Long Island, in 1981. It was investigated by the Long Island UFO Network. They have an interesting story to what eventually happened to them. There was a mass sighting on the south shore of Long Island, where there's an awful lot of orb reports out at sea. There's a couple of very mysterious government laboratories on Long Island, and Mauritius Bay is right next to one of them. There was a mass sighting by over 200 people of this triangular shaped object coming in. It was lured in, okay, and they were using, this is where it goes again to Jake Barber, but this is 1981. They were using psychics to lure in the triangle, and once the triangle came, they used Gabriel, the electronic pulse weapon that was on the back of a truck, to take it down. And just like in the Jake Barber videos, people saw helicopters flying away with the triangle. So I can pretty much vouch that Gabriel exists. Lou Elizondo even intimates that the weapon exists.
That's very interesting. We got about 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. From MUFON's board of directors, Bob Spearing is here tonight. Valiant Thor, you brought up Valiant Thor. Do you believe Valiant Thor was an actual Venusian alien at the White House or the Pentagon?
I believe he was a real individual. I do not necessarily believe he was some sort of Christ-like spiritual being. I think he was a guy on a mission, and he pops up over decades, never seems to age. To me, that suggests that maybe if he's not immortal, he's a time traveler, and maybe bouncing back and forth between 1947 and 1968, he could do that all in one night. That's why he didn't age. All right, but there's other stories of Valiant Thor that are in the Stringfield diaries. One of them is actually in the Humcat from 1957 in Italy. 3 months after Thor was at Howard Menger's house, a fellow's walking along a road near Rome at night. A little Peugeot pulls up, and a guy in a suit, same type of suit that Val Thor wore at Menger's backyard party, the only pictures ever taken of Val Thor, allegedly. He's wearing the same suit and tie. And the guy driving the car, he's wearing the gold lame suit. Brother Don. All right, Don Thor. So that was a second case that we found. And that witness describes the mothership the same way Dr. Frank Stranges describes the mothership in his book, Stranger at the Pentagon. So there's a lot of parallels. Tall, dark, and handsome guy, mysterious, gold lame, uniform or suit and tie all the time. And he seems to be connected to the headsets twice, because in 1968, when they were doing Project Red Light at Norton Air Force Base, trying to talk to this crash retrieval, Val Thor was only 58 miles away with Frank Stranges in a Los Angeles hotel room. There is one cop, he was an MP sergeant at Norton Air Force Base that I believe they experimented on, and he started to go crazy. They think because of link loss. If you've ever heard that Jake Barber term, when they lose the connection to the UFO, it can actually cause brain damage. In the Mauritius Bay incident, the 18 psychics died. Okay? So I think that Val Thor was at Norton Air Force Base in 1968 because the fellow that went crazy, the sergeant, kept talking about an alien named Alpha that looked just like Val Thor, who was impervious to different types of poisoning and radiation exposure and could put a force field around himself. And this guy went to Stringfield in 1978 and told him the whole story about Alpha. I think all three of these cases are incidents where Val Thor was seen and that Val Thor exists. Up until 3 years ago, I thought he was a myth. All right, these people channeling the wisdom of Val Thor, I don't believe any of that. But when I
Hold that
started,
thought.
yep.
Hold that thought on Balfour. We'll be right back with Bob Spearing, International Development Director for MUFON. We love him around here, and we got him for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
Can I take a quick break?
Yeah, we're going to take about a 5.5 minute break here.
Okay.
We'll be right back, everybody. Enjoy the video.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
with 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten. The 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right, Bob, thank you. I'm going to get you to move your microphone just a little bit closer to your mouth if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
That works. Thank you. And thank you to our super chatters, Baba, T-Bone, and Mickey. We greatly appreciate your love and support, everybody. And if you haven't yet, please give us a thumbs up. It helps with our algorithms on YouTube, and we greatly appreciate it. So sit back, relax, and here we go in just a few seconds as we are going to continue on with tonight's show with Bob Spearing from MUFON's Board of Directors. And we got about 10 seconds, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
We're kicking off hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We really appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Whitling. Whitling is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in Bob Spearing. He is from the MUFON Board of Directors, where he sits on as the International Development Director. And we were talking right before the break about Valiant Thor. Mm-hmm. Now, the story of Valiant Thor was that he was a Venusian who came down here from the planet Venus with a crew of, I think, 2 or 3 with him. And they immediately said, "We want to talk to your leaders." And that's how they kind of built the bond. And this is where a lot of alien chatter begins. I mean, Dr. Frank Strange has covered this. You mentioned that Leonard Springfield covered this as well. I mean, there's a lot going on with this subject. Do you believe, or Leo, sorry, Stringfield, not Springfield. How did I even butcher that one? My goodness, sorry about that. But there's a lot going on with this story. And a lot of people believe that it's just some sort of romantic alien type of encounter, where others believe that it actually happened. Mm-hmm. Take us from where you left off.
Okay, so one interesting thing about the fellow in Italy and the newspaper reporter at Roswell, they both claimed that they saw the fellow in town for several days prior to coming in contact with them. These are 2 different people, 2 different parts of the world saying the same thing. Okay, so there were commonalities between the 3 cases. Val Thor, the Italian witness asked Val Thor, if it was him, "Where are you from?" And this is another reason why I think it was Val Thor or one of his crewmates, possibly. He says, "I'm from a place near Venus." He didn't say Venus, he said near Venus. And that's interesting because in the 1800s, there were astronomers who were seeing intermercurial objects. One was called Neith, and the other one was called Vulcan. And they believed that they were possible moons of Venus. But then after a while, they're gone. So I don't think a moon would just leave orbit. However, a large mothership near Venus might leave and come back and leave. And I think that maybe what astronomers were seeing in the 1800s and calling Neith and Vulcan may have been a mothership in the solar system. So that there's several reasons more there why I believe that the Val Thor story is starting to become more and more real to me.
See, when I look at the UFO Pandora's box that is sitting somewhere deep in the Pentagon, probably in a very dark, dingy room, with no windows, and I'm romanticizing about it. I really am. But I believe that, the stories about whether or not Valiant Thor is real, or Bob Lazar worked at Area 51, or did Eisenhower meet with aliens and trade humans for technology. What happened at Roswell? What happened at all of these great crash retrieval sites? Okay, I think there is this giant box of information that is so sealed up, tighter than Fort Knox, that it's going to be impossible for somebody to open that box. But realistically, that's the box that holds the keys to true disclosure. Do you ever see that box being opened up?
No. Basically, Ben Rich from Skunkworks, when he was dying, said, "We have the ability to go to the stars, but it's locked up in black budget projects that the public will never see." Absolute true statement. Okay. I don't think we're ever going to see it. And in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is allegedly the Blue Room. And that's the room where I think the real stuff is, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And yes, I do believe that the United States possesses crash retrievals. I believe they possess intact craft. I believe that they have alien bodies, or wherever they're coming from. And I believe that they have had non-human intelligence communication with something that may be endemic to Earth and here for as long as we have been, and that it may be a scary thing, which may be why they're not saying it.
Who are the people in control of that?
But I can tell you the person who I think knows more about it than anybody else is probably Hal Puthoff. All right, and what's interesting about Hal Puthoff, he came out recently and said that the United States has recovered 4 types. Was it Puthoff said 4 types of aliens: Greys, Nordics, insectoids, and reptilians. This is just in the past 2 weeks. Hal came out and said this. The other interesting thing right now about Hal Puthoff is that Amy Eskridge, one of the scientists who allegedly committed suicide, who was allegedly working on anti-gravity propulsion in Huntsville, Alabama, she claimed that Hal Puthoff went to her house. And she's on video. Before she died, she made a series of videos, all right, explaining how she thought she was being attacked with like a Havana syndrome weapon. Her hands were burned. And she said that she had Hal Puthoff at her house, and he told her they're not aliens at all. They're ultra-terrestrials from a different dimension. Okay, now she's dead, allegedly. Although I did see something yesterday. Michael Salla is claiming that Amy Eskridge is still alive, and that she's in hiding, and that he has a source that's going to present all of this information within the next 3 days. Have you heard that story?
No, because the information that I have been given, and I've looked into this pretty significantly with other people, is that I think that's one case we need to lay to rest. That one is a very, family oriented situation that I wish would just disappear, to be honest, and not trying to push away from that topic, but I think she was troubled. And the information that I've talked with a lot of people about this is that she was very troubled. She was having some very, very deep mental issues at the time, and it was very tough to tell with her what was real and what was, going on in her mind. And it's a sad story all around, but that's one I wish would be put to bed.
Okay, the only reason I would want to comment a little bit more is that she died in Huntsville, Alabama. That's where
Yes.
Joshua LeBlanc burned to death in a Tesla, charred beyond recognition. He worked for NASA at the Marshall Space Flight Center. All right. And then on January 2nd, 2025 in Las Vegas, Matthew Livelsberger blew
Yes.
himself up, charred beyond recognition, also in a Tesla. And his manifesto was about anti-gravity. So I still think that there's a connection between all of these people.
Oh, I'm not saying there isn't a connection. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But in that specific case,
Sure, Amy. Yeah, that's a sad story. Melissa Casase, her body was just found 2-3 days ago, with a gun next to her. She was the Los Alamos employee that walked out into the desert like McCaslin. So they just found her 3 days ago, dead with a gun next to her. But I don't believe it was a suicide.
That one interests me. You know, I mean, are we not, if we're going to go down the rabbit hole with the scientists,
Mm-hmm.
I do like patterns, Bob. I really like patterns, and one of the patterns that I've noticed is when these names first started coming out after General McCaslin went missing, it was very much about how they all, one way or another, had testified in front of Congress, either most of them privately, about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all of a sudden, you know, kind of going down this rabbit hole of whether or not UFOs had something to do with this as we were preparing, you know, for the release of these papers. Because, you know, this started coincidentally around the same time as we were hearing that there was going to be a release of files, and then Obama came out and said what he did, and then Trump came out and said, well, Obama broke the law and maybe I need to disclose in order to make sure he doesn't get arrested, which, you know, the process has at least started. But I mean, the fact that UFOs and nuclear technology fits on both resumes for the majority of them, I think that is very trying, and we should not, you know, diminish those thoughts and what they had in common. That's for sure.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about it, if you want to go further down a rabbit hole, is the Trump shooter. Do you know the story about Cole Allen, the guy that tried to shoot Trump at the correspondence dinner? He went to Caltech, where Carl Grillmair, the scientist who got shot in the face on his porch in California, taught. Not only that, Cole Allen also interned at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Yes.
Okay. Not only that, somebody named Henry Martinez posted in 2023 one Facebook post, 2 words, Cole Allen. 2023, 3 years before Cole Allen tried to kill Trump. The avatar for Henry Martinez is a frog wearing a tuxedo with 3 champagne glasses in front of him. And if you see the photograph of Trump's face, the instant the shots are fired, he's looking the same way, and there's 3 champagne glasses in front of him, and he's got a tuxedo on. How did somebody know that Cole Allen was going to try to shoot Trump wearing a tuxedo at a correspondence dinner in 2023?
That is very interesting. I did not notice that.
It's either time travelers or a different timeline, or somebody botched an operation, all right, that maybe in another timeline was successful.
That is one great conspiracy theory right there, Bob. Very good.
Hey, well, let me go further. JPL Laboratory, Jet Propulsion Laboratory for NASA. Do you know who started that?
No, fill me in.
A scientist by the name of Jack Parsons. He was a rocket scientist, and he was a member of the Lodge. Do you know what the Lodge was?
I've heard of the Lodge.
Aleister Crowley,
yes,
and L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons used to hang out together at the Lodge. Do you know how Jack Parsons died? He blew up in his house working on a rocket. Okay, so the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where 3 of the scientists were from, has a dark beginning that's connected to Aleister Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard.
Interesting tie-in. Interesting tie-in. Bob Spearing is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio from MUFON, where he sits as the international development director of MUFON. And we look a lot at these files that are going on and the social media outburst of all sorts of information that's coming out, whether it's movie directors and documentarians like Jeremy Corbell, whether it's investigative journalists like Christopher Sharp or George Knapp or Ross Coulthard.
Mm-hmm.
We see what's happening on YouTube with Jesse Michaels. We see what's happening around, Tim Burchett. I mean, seems to have, his live connection to Fox News or CNN or anybody who wants to talk about this always on. How do we define from your communications background where to get the proper information on this story right now? Because a lot of people, if they're paying attention, will know that it's the same heads that are talking about the same subject.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tim Burchett is very close to MUFON, and he's made some statements that I absolutely believe are true, like that there may be 4 or 5 underwater bases around the world. I absolutely believe that that's true. There's definitely one off the south shore of Long Island. So I tend to like Burchett. I don't think he's a fake. I think he knows something. I don't know if it's as dramatic as he makes out. Anna Luna, God bless her for knocking on the door at Elgin Air Force Base with the other congressman trying to get in to see the dead alien. She's got guts. All right. I tend to like her too, because what was interesting about Luna was when she asked the Pentagon for the videos, she had 46 specific videos, dates and titles that she wanted to see, including the Lake Huron shootdown. It's like, where did she get that list? All right. How did she know exactly what to ask for? So somebody had to leak that to her. So I consider her legitimate too. All right. Grush and Elizondo, I've always believed that they may be playing more than one part. Okay. Which is okay, because if it's, once intelligence, always intelligence. But if it's for the security of the United States, well then, hey, go for it. But if it's not for the security of the United States, well then, hey, what's the double agenda going on? All right.
Well, it simulates, a controlled narrative of this topic on who's allowed to speak about it,
right,
who's not allowed to speak about it. We're seeing that even I've been talking to a lot of other YouTube channels and creators who on this subject who've been doing very well for years, but have noticed a decrease in their own viewership because it seems like if you're not a certain person or people doing this, that you're not going to be able to get any attention, so to speak, of the topic that you love. So it makes me wonder, if there is some sort of narrative going on to control who's allowed to say and what and how they're allowed to say it.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's actually what's going on. All right. And I think that the New York Times is in deep with the government on it. All right. Just from all of the times the New York Times gets the scoops, they're reporters that have been in this skiff. So I think that the Times is a major player. So I don't know, to me, it's my leading theory right now is that it's a big grift going on. Everybody's trying to make money. All right. But what is interesting is that I've noticed too sometimes that our MUFON channel takes dives. When certain topics come up, all of a sudden our audience shrinks, and it should be the opposite. So do I think that somebody may be manipulating the UAP podcast algorithms? I think that that's quite possible.
How have your numbers been affected by it?
Basically, our YouTube channel was languishing till this past May, and I said, I'll take it. That's why they gave me a new title, from International Investigations to Development. So I've been doing a lot of the social media, all right? And when we started posting a lot again, all of a sudden our numbers were astounding. And then all of a sudden it tanked and leveled out no matter what we do. So I'm concerned about that because there's no logical reason for it. Okay, even Ron James's movie came out yesterday. Accidental Truth Next. Not that I'm plugging the movie, but I should because he's my buddy. You know,
Ron's good people. Ron's good friends with this show.
Yeah. So I want to ask him: did he see any sort of obfuscation in trying to sell the movie yesterday? He told me it went to #1 on Amazon, so maybe it didn't. But I definitely think that there's algorithm manipulation going on a lot of the Facebook groups too, for sure.
Is that under control of who can speak about it and who can't? Or is it just the way these platforms are maybe not wanting to make this subject as large as it could be?
It's interesting you say that because when I was in Germany, all right, a lot of people that were talking to me were telling me that the government suppresses UFO news stories. They knew nothing about the scientists. Some of them didn't even know about the document dump, the Trump document dump in Europe. All right, that was news to them. Okay, as a matter of fact, today I was interviewed by a Danish podcaster at this thing in Manhattan today, and he didn't know about the missing scientist, and he's like a very famous broadcaster in Denmark. And he had no clue about the scientists. So I do believe that there is suppression of news stories, especially about UAP, which makes me logically go to the next step, that they're controlling the narrative for some reason. I'll give you another one. Three Eye Atlas, all right? That was a test, all right? That was a rock, okay? In my opinion. I don't want to get your audience mad, but I just think it was an interstellar comet. But boy, did they milk that for everything that was worth. Boy, did people make money off of that. You know what I mean? You had Facebook groups starting with 500,000 people, all right? Just because of Three Eye Atlas. Abbey Loeb, that's his pension, was Three Eye Atlas, all right? Made him famous. So I think that was another test to see if we could be controlled or how we could react to the potential of an alien acknowledgement.
We have 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Bob Spearing is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bob, when we look at the narrative, you and I have talked about this in the past, where it's a very negative narrative that the aliens are coming. It's a threat. We need to be prepared. We need to be, on our tippy toes, waiting and anxiously to see what they do because we don't know their intentions. But if it is true that there is some sort of contact that has been made between the U.S. government as well as these extraterrestrial species, one way or another, they would already know if it's a threat or not. They would already know whether they are here or not. I mean, there's a lot of information unfold with just thinking about those scenarios.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I don't think the UFO phenomenon is one phenomenon. I think that there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I definitely think we could be dealing with different timelines. I definitely think time travelers. All right. When people encounter craft and entities, in my experience, I've noticed that in the majority of the cases that the person's asked if they want to go for a ride, or they're given, buckwheat pancakes or something like that. But when you deal with the phenomenon inside a person's house at 3 o'clock in the morning, where the wall's opening up, there's something very sinister about that, because it seems that whoever is coming from another dimension or whatever through somebody's wall to do some sort of experiment or operation on them, there's something really dark about that. Some people think that it's a hybrid program. They've thought that it's a hybrid program for years. Human alien fetuses, the disappearing womb syndrome. But it could be something even worse. It could be people coming back to basically eliminate people who in the future, sort of like a Terminator, okay? That they're trying to change the timeline now by going right to the house and doing something to the person there that will alter something in the future. Okay,
And
Then
on
there's
that note, Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on because in the next half hour, we're going to get some audience questions for Bob Spearing from MUFON's board of directors. It's been a great show so far. The second half of tonight's show is going to be just as fantastic. Stay tuned, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Bob, we got about 5 minutes here. I'm just going to go and refill my drink because I'm pretty thirsty here. Okay.
I'll be right back to.
All right. Be right back, everybody. We got 20 seconds. Give me 2 seconds here. All right, Bob, here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you coming on in and talking some UFOs with us and our guest, Bob Spearing. He is from MUFON. He is their International Development Director. And we're going to end up getting into some audience questions here. Right before the break, we were talking about the control of the narrative, Bob. And that is a big one for a lot of people in this subject. Who's allowed to talk about it? Who's allowed to report on it? Who's allowed to speak on it? Are there more Congress people than just Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, and Eric Burleson that are going off on this subject? I mean, recently we heard Lauren Boebert basically say, yeah, the files have been disappointing, basically calling them very blasé, and then stating, let's get to the good stuff. Where's the aliens? Let's get into the portals. Let's get into the dimensional travel. Let's get into all the good juice that we want to quench our thirst here. Where do you stand on that? Where are all the other Congress people?
They're there. There's a lot of them interested. Matt Gaetz, former congressman, last month came out and said that there is an alien hybrid program, so that Men in Black came to his house and actually told him that. I don't know why they would, but that was what he claims. Burchett's a friend of MUFON. Congressman Andre Carson, friend of MUFON. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York. Anna Paulina Luna. Eric Burleson. So there's a number of Congress people. Kennedy, who said, lock your doors at night. That was his quote after one of the backroom skiff briefings. So there's a number of congressional representatives that are vying for disclosure. It's just not 2 or 3.
But there are, a couple hundred Congress people and senators. When you're relying on 3, that doesn't seem like a lot of support.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why that could happen. People running for office in a purple area, a constituency that cares nothing about UFOs. There's some communities in the United States that they just don't care about that stuff. So I think you'd have to look at each congressperson differently to see why they may or may not be putting out anything forward in support of Anna Luna, Burleson, Gillibrand. There could be other non-UFO reasons. They don't want to be called a nut, all right? So there could be a lot of reasons why some senators and Congress representatives don't want to be associated with UFOs.
Do we need more, though?
We do.
Or is this just the way it's controlled?
We need, all right, so one of the things we always tell people is that MUFON does not, we're not in bed with any government or private corporation. It's not entirely true because we do send quarterly reports to Congress. And the reason we'll deal with Congress is because that's the people's representatives, duly elected. So we don't send anything to the military. We don't send anything to private corporations, but we do send reports on a regular basis to Congress. So there's more than 5 Congress people reading our reports, that's for sure. As a matter of fact, Nancy Mace is another one. When Nancy Mace was chairing the hearings, I don't know, 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I gave Dave McDonald, our executive director, a whole bunch of statistics to bring down to Washington, D.C. with them. And those statistics actually ended up in the appendix of Nancy Mace's report. So I felt sort of proud about that. Even though my name wasn't mentioned, I knew they were my statistics. So I know Congress is getting them, and I know Congress is using them. So from the congressional side of things, I'm actually optimistic. We just need more Tim Burchett's and Burleson's and Anna Luna's, to be honest.
When you look at, say, Nancy Mace and the way she has attacked this, it reminds me of Kirsten Gillibrand. A lot of these people, whether they're senators or whether they are Congress people, have acted pretty tough in their public words about this subject, but they seem to roll over when it comes to these type of hearings. Has any of these, and you've mentioned Tim Burchett, but have any of these Congress people or senators reached out for briefings from MUFON?
I believe that Ron James and Dave McDonald have met Burchett numerous times. I know they've met Senator Gillibrand numerous times. So besides the reports that we actually generate for Congress, they're probably having conversations with some of our people. But Tim Burchett, for one, I mean, he's actually in Ron James's movie. Ron is in Burchett's office interviewing him. So, and Gillibrand too. So, why they get weak out in the field when they're tough at the beginning? Burleson said, he goes, "I was told not to talk to one particular person, or I may find myself dead." That sounds like somebody actually probably said that to him. So maybe some of them are afraid.
Well, Burchett, if anybody has been threatened, I mean, Eric Burleson came out and said he was threatened. I mean, Burchett seems like the type of guy who just doesn't care, but it wouldn't surprise me if he undid his coat. There was like 6 357 magnums to his chest.
Sure. There's a lot of people sleeping with a gun on their table this year. I'll tell you that,
But do you think it comes down to that? Do you think it comes down to that type of violence with UFOs?
Yes, I do.
How do you say? Pardon me for interrupting you, but how do you say that so matter of factly?
It's just, it's a gut feeling. Essentially, I mean, I can't prove it, but I definitely feel that people put their lives in danger when they come forward to whistleblow, and I know several of them have died. All right, and then we go back to the scientists. So I definitely think that when you come out in public and demand that the CIA provide something, or the War Department provide something, I think you're putting your life on the line. If you go back to several weeks before Kennedy was assassinated, President Kennedy, he wrote a memo to the CIA saying we need to have greater cooperation with the Soviet Union to figure out what these UFOs are. Bang! He was dead like in a week and a half. All right, so I definitely think I'll give you another one. All right, in the Leonard Stringfield diary, Stringfield wanted to post something that a CIA bureau chief gave him, and this is in the diary. It's a quote: "Len, if you run with this story, if they're not afraid to kill Kennedy, they're not afraid to kill a CIA bureau chief." That's a quote from a CIA bureau chief to Leonard Stringfield. So yeah, I think people will die.
Let's get to a couple audience questions.
Sure.
Let's start off with T-Bone here. What is your take on Dr. Beatrice Villarreal's work?
Great question. I'm so happy you asked that. I think she's the real deal. I think she's onto something. And also, going back to the MUFON Project Aquarius digital library, the 2 terabytes of information we actually have reports from Captain Ruppelt in Blue Book, where prior to Sputnik being launched, he was writing to Professor Lincoln LaPaz, the Green Fireball professor from the University of New Mexico, the 1947 Green Fireballs, asking if it was true that there were 2 artificial satellites orbiting the Earth prior to Sputnik. And his daughter, who was LaPaz's secretary, actually wrote back and said, "You read that in an article, it was some sort of aerospace magazine. My father didn't say that exactly." In other words, she wasn't denying it, but she wasn't saying it was real either. Then there's another report from Offutt Air Force Base before Sputnik, where a number of high-ranking officers actually saw, and this is in the NICAP book from 1965 that they did with all of the reports, their first big UFO report book. These high-level people saw what looked like a mothership in the evening sky. Sun had just set, so there was a reflection. That's how they could see it, and it had satellite objects going around it. This is suspiciously close to what a Starlink deployment looks like. When the Starlinks are released, these pieces of metal pop off the Falcon 9 rocket. And as the Starlinks stream out, these pieces of metal are still going along with it at 17,000 miles per hour. And they look like satellite ships to a mothership. So, in my opinion, what Beatrice is doing is absolutely essential, because I absolutely believe there were artificial objects orbiting Earth prior to Sputnik 1. That's a great question. I wanted her for our symposium. I personally wrote to the board of directors and said they should get her.
She is brilliant. She is very brilliant. Beatrice Villarreal. Stargazer is asking, Bob, how do you feel about Neil deGrasse Tyson saying he always believed in UFOs in his new book?
I have one word about Neil, and it's the topic we've been talking about all night. It's a grift. I mean, he's got a lot of nerve at this point coming out like with a book about UFO. I mean, this guy was the debunker in chief, all right, mocking, like denigrating people. And now he wants to cash in. That's my opinion in Neil.
I would agree with that. I think the word hypocrite comes up quite a bit. You know, he is, you know, been nicknamed Neil deGrift Tyson.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why do you think he has changed his attitude? And oh, look, his book comes out just as the files are coming out too. I mean, there's another strange coincidence right there. This guy had been chastising and berating the UFO community, his fellow astrophysicists who believe in this, like Avi Loeb or others who have been looking into this, saying, where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. I believe he even said, I'll believe in UFOs when the U.S. government, you know, brings an alien to the White House lawn.
Right, right. Well, I'd like to see that too, but, you know. But yeah,
I think it's a little disingenuous that all of a sudden this guy who has absolutely, you know, been a thorn in ufology's side, refusing to look at it while making very strong comments against it, now all of a sudden has a UFO book about first contact.
Yeah, and I will like give my opinion that it probably isn't worth reading. Okay, based on he's not in the loop as far as I know. All right, the way some other like Avi Loeb's in the loop. So I think he's just trying to cash in, and he doesn't have anything worthwhile to add to the conversation. Was that brutal?
No, I think good.
Okay.
I think it's good. Let's go to another one here. This one comes from Magnus. Does the 1990s GATE program have anything to do with recent disclosure and missing people?
I don't know. You know, I'm not that familiar with the GATE program. When you say missing people, are we talking scientists or people being abducted? I'm not sure. I can't answer that one. That's too good.
I think he's more thinking about not the scientists, but people who disappeared, vanished.
That like permanent abductions we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe permanent abductions have been going on since at least the 1950s, and bad things probably happened to those people.
How many abduction files has MUFON worked on where the person has vanished?
Well, none, because if they vanish, we wouldn't. Oh, you're saying after they file a report that they seem to vanish?
No, but maybe somebody filed it because their friend vanished in this scenario or whatever it might be.
Oh, no, we don't get many reports like that. No, and we consider them third-hand reports. Like if somebody sees something whiz by the ISS camera in space and they send it to us, we can't investigate that. If somebody tells me their cousin Joe had a friend Al who disappeared and was never seen again, and that's why we're writing a report, we closed them as information only because you can't verify something like that, unfortunately.
Makes sense. Makes very good sense. We have Bob Spearing from MUFON with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bob, there is an element of surprise that's going to happen eventually with this, you know, whether it's something big coming down with any of these tranches that may be released in the future. Have you been tipped off, or does anybody know what might be coming out and when next? Because the first two tranches that came out, we got what we expected. But if there is going to be a third one, nobody seems to know what's in it. Nobody seems to know about if there's going to be any more videos. Have you heard anything at all about this?
No, they didn't announce the second tranche when they launched it either. They're not going to tell you till the day it comes out. There's going to be some people on Facebook that get the hint, but I think it'll be within the next 2 weeks. But that's just a prediction on my part. Will it be anything more beneficial or deep? I'm hoping. All right, but I don't know what we're going to get.
Apparently, according to X, because X seems to be the place where a lot of things happen, the U.S. Air Force is about to have their UFO files start coming out on National Archive servers. What would it mean to finally get the Air Force into this game? Because they've been very silent, mysteriously silent over the last few years.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the United States Navy actually has more to do with aerospace than the Air Force does. So the Air Force wanted to get out of the business in 1969 after the Condon Report came out. That's where MUFON gets its slogan from, doing the Air Force's business since 1969. So I don't know what's going to happen. The Air Force never seemed to want to be in it. I wouldn't think they would want to be in it now. My theory is that the United States Navy is where we should be looking, or Space Force, not necessarily the Air Force. And if you go back to the Condon Report, they dismissed most of the cases, even the ones they couldn't explain. They dismissed it. So I think that the culture in the Air Force is that they don't want to be involved in this. I'm surprised that they're actually going to come out with their own bunch of files. I didn't know that.
It'd be interesting to see what they put out.
Mm-hmm. I'm afraid it's going to be more FLIR camera footage from the gun camera on a fighter jet showing an amorphous blob. I think we can get a lot of that. There is a couple of interesting ones though in the second tranche, because I'm into what's called fast movers, and MUFON has about 12 of these videos of small white objects, maybe the size of basketballs, flitting at low altitudes. All right, and commercial drones are actually catching them while they're filming, say, a town below. Goes by, and when we've broken the videos up frame by frame, some of these objects that are this big, they're going 5,000 miles per hour. All right, how does that happen? Unless, and we think that some of them might be Tic Tacs, and that the Tic Tacs might actually be created as vacuum balloons using aerogel, which is what the Russian sample we had turned out to be, but an exotic type of aerogel, because aerogel is almost a frictionless material. It can cut through an atmosphere with no friction. It also has high stealth capabilities. And you can have an engine on it that's literally this big, powered by a solar cell this big, okay? That can make the thing go 1,000 miles per hour. So is it government stuff we're seeing, or is it alien Tic Tacs, or is it reverse engineered Tic Tacs from somewhere? And I think that all three are in play the same way with triangles. We weren't making triangles in 1897. That's as far back as triangle reports go. But the ones we see now, I think that there's a high probability many of them are United States government reverse engineered craft.
I think that's what we're seeing. I think you hit the nail on the head. And that's what we've been telling our audience as well, is I believe that the videos that we are seeing are not UFOs. Mm-hmm. They are man-made objects. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we have to watch out for.
I think so.
And at some point, they have to understand the public wants UFOs. They want alien life. They don't care about the secrets. Mm-hmm. Tim Burchett made a comment just the other day that I found very interesting, where he said this isn't about little green men and flying saucers. This is about the trillions of dollars that go missing every year. another confirmation that UAP are man-made objects. I mean, this is where we have to start defining what are they looking for? Do they even know what they're looking for? Playing the aliens card, much like the government did with the aliens.gov website, in order to
what a disaster that was. Aliens.gov. What were they thinking doing that? That just peeved off the whole UFO community. You know, even the Trump supporters are like livid about that aliens.gov site.
Absolutely.
And the stuff that came out that morning on Facebook, it's up, it's alive. The aliens.gov, it's alive. And then when you go to it, it was all about illegal immigration from the Mexican southern border. And I just think that just blew people's minds, saying, what are you playing us again? All right, that's what I felt like. When I saw that, I said, I'm getting played here. What is this, a practical joke, you know, by the government? Aliens.gov?
That's right. 3 minutes to go. Let's get to one final question.
Okay.
Goot wants to know, are there reports to MUFON about interdimensional portal areas? If so, which areas?
There are a ton of portals. I have tons of portal accounts. Sky portals, portals opening up in people's bedrooms, two different types of portals. The ones in the sky, there's always something coming out of them. They're associated with rainbows, they're associated with black clouds, and they're connected to discolorations in the sun with a reddish tint. Whenever that's going on, chances are something's coming out of a portal. Most of the things that I've seen that come out of sky portals are either arrow-shaped or triangular-shaped. Okay, the bedroom portals, they're the scary ones for me. The walls open up, it's always the same story. An entity comes through, they experiment, or they have a machine with them that does something to the person. Most of the people are children, and they wait 40 years to report it to MUFON. Okay, so I absolutely believe that there's portals, and that's why I think that there's interdimensionals, and I think that there's time travelers, more possibly than the alien theory. There's definitely something going on. Where the areas are, I can't tell you. I can tell you this quick. People who fill out our experience questionnaire, there's two questions. 16 is were you healed? 17 was were you injured? And I can tell you that most people who claim that they were healed are in Arizona, and most people who claim that they were injured are in Pennsylvania. That's a weird statistic. All right, and I'm going to dig further into that because I want to see why.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Amazing how the statistics add up like that.
I love statistics. I love statistics.
Bob, I want to say a big thank you for you coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It is always a pleasure to have you on the show, your knowledge, your brilliance. Where can people find you?
If you see something or you feel you've been abducted or had an experience, go to MUFON.com, click on the red Report a UFO or Report an Abduction or Experience button. Free of charge. Our symposium is in August 27th through the 30th in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Covington, Kentucky Convention Center, right across the river from Cincinnati. And we're also going to be having a new database coming out this summer, the Andrus system, and there'll be an associated app that's going to have a multi-level map. We've got a lot of good things coming. We're building our own real-time alert network, which these units will be available for sale soon, hopefully by the symposium. So this is a big year for MUFON. And I just want to thank you for having me on. MUFON.com is where to go.
And one of these days, buddy, maybe in the next couple of years, I would love to speak back at the MUFON Symposium over my findings at my high strangeness site of Flight 21.
Maybe if we go back to Vegas, right?
I'm
pushing for Vegas next year. With Cincinnati again this year, Vegas next year, hopefully.
Bob, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next in hour number 3, we have Swamp Dweller. Then we're going to ease it on down. Terry Hall will be here for the weird news of the week.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, Bob. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank
You were
you.
great.
We'll stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely.
I think there's going to be some
much love to you,
interesting stuff this summer.
Absolutely. Much love to you, my friend.
Okay, take care.
All right.
I'm going to bed. Bye.
Good. Good night.
Stop now! You are under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your spaced out radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House. by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
Thank you very much. As we bring in Terry Hall and his gorgeous mustache, make sure to make comments about how beautiful his lip blade is. What do you get? There it is. Look at that. Look at that blade. Oh, that's tight.
Hey,
very,
yo.
very tight. All right. To Dirty Filth listening in, I do have that second Nanaimo bar here. I am going to take a bite of it.
What is that?
A Nanaimo bar.
What the heck is in a Nanaimo bar?
Got to find out.
Yeah, like we don't get those down here, homeboy.
They're Canadian. They're fantastic.
Well, neeners. Well, I'm happy for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you know what? I'm not going to send you any of my handmade pistachio Dubai-style chocolate bars that are so much better.
1 second, Terry. Thank you, T-Bone with a hat trick. Mystery and Mickey for the super chats, along with Baba. Here we go. We got hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We have Swamp Dweller coming up, along with the weird news of the week with Terry Hall. And first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Whitling. Whitling is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
Before I start the story, I want to give some background information. My town is fairly isolated. About 5 minutes of driving through the nearby forest to get to the next town. My town was relatively small and was bordered all by forest. Our cemetery was a decent size, probably about 20 football fields or so. It was a Friday night, and me and my friends Jake and Alex were biking on the dimly lit street next to the cemetery. Now, the cemetery is elevated about 15 feet above the street, so we couldn't really see into it. Jake mentioned that we bring our bikes up there and explore. We have flashlights mounted onto our bikes, so it really didn't seem like a bad idea. We walked up the stairs and immediately I got an eerie feeling when we got to the top. It was about 10 p.m. at this point, so it was pitch black. The cemetery was so dark, and it's completely surrounded by woods. We couldn't see anything past where our flashlights illuminated. We weren't really the type to get scared of things like this, because we weren't really doing anything wrong. So we'd like to capture a lot of it on video from a GoPro I had on my chest. We started down the main road, and were headed to a small pond on the other side of the cemetery. Maybe halfway down the road is when we heard the first scream. It was a distant but noticeable scream. It sounded like a man screaming out of fear. This didn't really faze us, but I started recording after this. About 10 seconds later, there was another scream, still distant but slightly more noticeable, likely to the fact that we were listening for it this time. Instead of turning back, I heard Alex shifting gears and pedaling toward the direction of the screams, which was conveniently in the direction of the pond. I didn't want to argue and also wanted to get some cool videos, so I followed, and so did Jake. I caught up in no time, and a minute later, we reached the pond trail entrance. Now it was even darker in the woods here, and if I said it was pitch black, that would be an understatement. At this point, the GoPro footage was all black, and you can only hear us talking and going over leaves. We reached the pond and saw a light from the other side. When we all turned a small corner of land, we saw it. It was a group of maybe 10 people, dressed in what looked like black cloaks or something straight out of a cult movie. It was barely visible on the GoPro, I'm sure. You see, I wouldn't really get the footage at the end of the day, because I would drop it when we started running away from these people or cult or whatever you want to call them. It looked weird when you were looking at them. They were contrasting against the raging fire behind them. We couldn't tell for sure, but it looked like they had someone tied up to the docks, hanging above the water. They were motionless and were probably where the earlier screams originated from. All of us surprised, we turned and looked at each other. Alex said something about taking a video and making sure the flash is off so we can show the police. I said no, because I didn't want to get seen by this group of odd people. But Jake already was getting his phone out of his bag. I wish I was lying when I say this, but when he started videoing, he dropped his phone, making a loud noise. He could not find it, but it hit the rocks that we were standing on really loud. We heard yelling from the black cloak people and booked it. We heard dirt bikes or something like that starting and revving in the distance, and we knew they were coming our way. Instead of running, we threw our bikes in the brush halfway down the trail and jumped in the thick and thorny bushes. It hurt like hell, but was definitely worth it. Not even 30 seconds later, about 6 or 7 dirt bikes passed by us slowly and quietly. We waited until they came back again, and waited for another hour and about 15 minutes to leave. We booked it out of there and went to my house for the night. It was one of the craziest experiences I've ever experienced. None of us have any idea what happened. Have no idea who these people are, why they never did anything or said anything, and what they could have potentially been doing with those people that were hanging. We never told the police because we were honestly afraid that we would get in trouble or something. I know that sounds dumb, but we were young. Thank you for sharing my story, even if it is kind of crazy.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every day and night. Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell. Now, it's time for the weird news of the week. We bring in Terry Hall.
Terry Hall's got a mustache, standing by the pole. Curled up like a question mark, got secrets to be told. When you folks the Bigfoot tracks, ghosts that won't behave. You call me to the headlines like a closet way. Weird news of the week, it's strange and it's wild. For the answers I'll be happy to explain falls. With Terry Hall and Paul, this is a stack in the straw. I'm Space Out Radio, let the very stars touch it all.
There he is, Terry Hall, everybody. It's always great to have Terry back on the show. How you been doing, brother?
Heidi ho, I've been doing well today. How was your day today?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. Nice and warm out here in the British Columbia wilderness. And, you know, I got tomorrow off for my daytime job. I'm going to be building our new Haunted 108 YouTube channel for people to see some of the spookiness that is happening. So we're going to be getting things going tomorrow. It's going to be very, very busy, and I'm very excited to get to bed so I get to wake up and work at home on things that I love to do.
You know what? I heard the old joke again today, that a wife doesn't need to remind her husband that he has honey-do lists around the house. I mean, getting nagged about it every 6 months, we'll get around to it, right? We'll get around to it. Just, it takes a while. It takes a while. But now, that kind of stuff, you wake up in the morning and you're all ready and set and raring to go. And I tell you what, I've got tomorrow off as well. oddly enough, we both have a day lined up. So when you're down in the studio, if you want to go on the back and forth about the old, give me a little bit of a preview and a little bit of a sneak, I'd love that.
Oh, we might be able to work something out, and it will be, I think, the YouTube channel. Let me just find it here. I'm building a couple of new YouTube channels as we speak. What we are in the process of doing here is we are in the process of creating 2 new channels tied to Spaced Out Radio. Okay, number 1 would be, let me see here, Haunted 108, which is youtube.com/Haunted 108. That's for my company. And then we are also, if you've watched our shows on our YouTube channel, Secrets of the Forest, this is all about our investigations out at Flight 21. We have created a new channel called Secrets of the Forest. So you could go to youtube.com/SOR for Spaced Out Radio, Secrets of the Forest, at SOR, Secrets of the Forest on YouTube. So you can check those out.
Is that when you guys like actually go out and do your investigations and experiments?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You've done that before. I really like those.
Yeah, we're gonna move all of the videos over from the Spaced Out Radio channel over to the Secrets of the Forest channel. So it is growing. We got to get a little bit caught up on videos, but we're going to be making enough videos here where we're going to have enough to probably carry us through the winter and into next year.
I think what's so important about that, Dave, is not just it's awesome to see you guys go out and it's fun to watch the videos, absolutely. But what I think is more important is being able to record your methodology and what you use and what you do for your results, so other people can learn your methods and try these things out. I mean, that's how we're moving the needle forward as far as the UFO UAP thing goes. We've got all of these. I mean, you can take anything off the shelf and use it maybe a little bit out of the box, thinking out of the box, maybe using it in a way that it wasn't exactly designed for, but it fits a need. With all of these tools that we have available to us now, it's almost, if you don't share your methods and you don't teach other people how to do it to help them avoid the pitfalls, I don't think it's fair to others. I mean, I know that to get where you are, there's been a lot of pain involved for anybody who's done anything in this industry and had to go through the school of hard knocks. Being able to record your methodology so you can share it with other people is awesome. And then the sites that you guys have up there, I mean, I can just imagine some of the ghosts on the old 49er trails and stuff up that way. That place has got to be crazy up there, man.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
And then, you guys go out looking for ghosts and ghoulies and goblins and stuff, and you run across cloaked Bigfoot. I mean, on your birthday, Bigfoot left you one of the most incredible tracks I think I've ever seen. And then in that exact moment, you guys, there was a cloaked Bigfoot in this right there.
It's true. It's totally true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to get everything going on Secrets of the Forest. So it's youtube.com/SOR, Secrets of the Forest, and then youtube.com/Haunted 108. That'll be strictly for our ghost tour. So let's see how that goes. We got weird news of the week here, Terry, and I want to lead something off with you here. All right, because this one's a little bit interesting. So apparently a CIA officer has been arrested. Why? Not for spying, not for giving details to a foreign adversary, Oh, no. They found over $40 million in gold bars at his home. He served as a liaison to the Pentagon for sensitive nuclear submarine programs, brought on at the request of the number 2 official, the Defense Department. And now he is sitting in jail. The name has not been released, but Deputy Defense Secretary Steve Feinberg has asked that the officer work as a liaison at the Pentagon for the spy agency. How he got the gold, not known just yet, but it is a little bit freaky that here's this dude, who is trusted with keeping some of America's deepest secrets, especially when it came to defense. And here he was ripping off the country for gold bars.
40 million smackaronis in gold bars, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. Something's not adding up in that whole thing. Where would you actually obtain $40 million in gold bars from? I mean, where would it come from?
Well, I'm just pulling up a different portion of the story. His name is David Rush. No relation to David Grush. Okay, Rush. Like the band, Rush. Okay. So apparently, FBI officers also seized $2 million in cash and around 35 luxury watches from his home. And the FBI probe found that Rush had provided false information about his education and military background in his job application, including lying about obtaining university degrees and serving as a pilot in the Navy. He also filled out fraudulent timesheets and obtained $77,000 in military leave pay by falsely claiming he was a member of the Navy Reserves. The documents describe Rush as a former senior employee at the U.S. government agency with top secret clearance and access to classified information. He was arrested back on May 19th. Yeah, it doesn't say how he got the gold bars, but apparently they were missing from a storage space at some official workplace. It wouldn't say where. There were around 303 gold bars in his possession.
And how many luxury watches did you say?
35.
That range probably anywhere from, let's say, 12,000 to ungodly numbers, depending on who the manufacturer and the model is, right?
You get one of those Jacobs & Co. watches, those are in the millions.
Those are in the millions of dollars. I mean, some of these more off-the-wall Rolex, even Rolex are anymore. Some of the more unusual ones are over $100, $200 million and more. And $2 million in cash, you said,
yes.
Right? In cash. That sounds more like he was on doing something clandestine that maybe he wasn't supposed to be doing. And from what I can find out about that, wasn't it the number 2 guy in the Defense Department that dropped a dime on this, or what?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Wow. I mean, the guy's got top secret clearance. He's worked on the nuclear programs, and they're just now discovering that he's been lying about his education this whole time.
Man, maybe I could
absolutely. I'm getting ready to. I was just going to ask, where can I put an application in?
What do you got for us today, buddy?
Well, Dave, I hate to do this to you tonight, man, because I know you don't like it. You won't even approach the ocean because of old sharkaronis and sharknadoes and things like that. But
oh, God.
I'm going to scare you off the toilet, my friend. I'm going to have to do it to you. So you're just going to be stuck after this story, Dave. So an Australian man had the kind of morning that nightmares are made of when a slithery little guy, wasn't quite so little, slid through his drains, tickled the taint, and bit him while he was sitting on the toilet.
What? Hold on. Repeat that again.
An Australian man had the kind of morning that nightmares are made of when a python slid through the drains and bit him while he was sitting on the toilet. The stunned 65-year-old in the city of Graz turned around shortly after 6 a.m. on Monday to see roughly a 1.6 meter albino reticulated python in his toilet bowl. Shortly after, I'm going to laugh. I can't help it. I just can't help it. Shortly after he sat on the toilet, the gentleman reports, mate, quote, mate, I felt the little breeze in me taint area, and the next thing I know, my boys were throbbing. There was a pinch in the area of me genitals. Unquote.
Oh, no.
The snake, a
The bagel
constrictor.
got it.
But
Oh.
this constrictor now, it even gets even better, Dave. The snake, a constrictor native to Asia, can grow to more than 9 meters long, is thought to have escaped his neighbor's apartment unnoticed and slid through the drains. Its exact route is still unclear. However, the 24-year-old neighbor who owns 11 snakes, all non-venomous constrictors, when the reptile expert contacted by emergency services, removed the snake from the toilet, cleaned it, and returned it to its owner. By the time emergency service had showed up to my house, there wouldn't be nothing left to clean and give back to the neighbor. I mean, I'm not a big fan of HOAs in this, but I think this guy needs to move into a place that has no snakes. So Dave, now not only can you not go in the toilet, but every time, go into the ocean, every time you go in, and just make sure you look in the bowl before.
See, this is why I could never live in Australia. Everything there wants to kill you. Everything.
Amen to that. You know, that's why human beings are so warlike, and that's why we've progressed to the point that we're at now. Everything on this planet's engineered to kill us. The weather, you can die from grass exposure. You know, the smallest thing around, ants, they can kill you too. So we've had to kind of get to this point to where we fought everything. Why not fight each other? That's what we're the best at anyway, right?
All right, we got 90 seconds. I'm going to squeeze one in here. And now former South Carolina police officer faces a felony charge after allegedly pointing his department-issued firearm at a fellow officer. Why? Because they had a confrontation about microwaved fish. Michael DiBiase was arrested, lost his job, and charged with pointing and presenting a firearm at a person, according to South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which investigated the incident. The confrontation allegedly occurred this past Saturday in a briefing room at the Myrtle Beach Police Department. DiBiase allegedly confronted a fellow officer who was warming up fish in the microwave, causing an odor in the office. The arrest warrant stated, during the confrontation, the detective allegedly drew and pointed his firearm at the other officer, the arrest warrant stated. Both officers provided statements, and so stinky fish. And you know what? I'm sorry. I don't think this officer should personally be charged with this. Maybe a little flagrancy. However, nobody, and I mean nobody, should be cooking fish, especially in a microwave at work. That is a horrible, horrible smell. That is just, it's wrong. And then to eat it afterwards, my goodness, what kind of inhumane person are you?
Well, I guess he must not be a gay fish, because apparently you don't like fish dicks.
Harry Hall and the UFO make that the weird news of the week. Continues right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
Oh my. That was savage. Sneak that in there right at the end.
You like fish sticks? Then you're a gay fish. I'm not a gay fish.
Oh my.
I'm a gay fish. Hey, dude, Florida man went big time this week.
Oh God, just save it. Just save
I
it.
am. I'm just letting you
Dude,
know, man. Florida man went big time this week.
I got the best story that we may have ever we've ever had on this show. I got it.
Does it beat the guy towing a car with his manhood?
Yes.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Ooh, this one's going to be juicy then.
Yep. Yep.
Juicy, 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 juicy.
Oh my.
How's the tours been going?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to try and pick it up a little bit on the other activities that we have planned.
So, like, when it comes to those tours, Dave.
Yeah.
Like, I know a guy who came up there and you took him to those places, and
yeah,
like when he came back, he was just like a different dude, right? I don't know if what he saw there exactly what it did to him, whether it frightened him or opened his eyes to a different
the forest got him.
Yeah. So like
the barn did not.
Do you prep the people that you take out and let them know, like, hey, what you see out here can like really change your life?
Oh yeah.
You know, the paranormal's the one thing that people run across during their lifetime, that they could be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and they get exposed to this and it just takes over everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, before we go on the tour, we take everybody we have a church there, and we sit everybody down and we explain to them that this isn't a carnival act. Okay, there is nobody hiding behind walls who are going to jump out and say boo. There's nobody chasing you with a chainsaw or anything that you would see in a carnival act. This is real. And I said, as of right now, you are all paranormal investigators, right? And this is what we're trying to do. And then we explained to them that there are 2 areas that you have to play by the rules. If you don't, I can't control what's going to happen to you. Right? Granola Grin, how are you?
You know, I think that would be a good show, Dave, because the paranormal can be savage, man. It can either bless you and help you promote the job that it's decided that it wants you to do, and keep you whole and keep you floating and bless you with things. Or it can be the exact opposite and really be savage to a person or even to people. I mean, like, for me, not only does it affect me, but it affects others around me as well. And I wasn't expecting that when I got started on this journey. I wasn't thinking of that. And that's another reason why your methodology, when you're doing these videos for your new channel, your methodology is going to be really important.
Absolutely.
Just with the invitation that you send out, like we were discussing, sending an invitation out for a different type of close encounter, is very simple in its approach, but it's very specific in its approach as well, as only the light, letting the light in. And not even leaving an opening for the dark to enter. That's important,
Absolutely. Terry, quickly here, we want to say thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick of super chats tonight. Mystery, Baba, and Mickey. At least I think T-Bone got a hat trick. Hold on. I might be bullshitting here for a second. 1, 2.
That would not be out of character.
And Mark, thank you for joining our YouTube membership. We greatly appreciate that. And T-Bone times 2. I got excited. Here we go. All right, we are into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We got the weird news of the week. Terry Hall coming on up with a Florida man story to kick things off, because you never go wrong telling a Florida man story in this segment of the show. Terry, take it away.
So Florida man went big time this time, Dave, and I think it's actually made national news. And when I go into the story, I do believe that you're going to recognize this. So a Florida man was arrested after attempting to open an emergency door and attacking an off-duty airline employee on a Frontier plane that was diverted to Miami. The incident happened during a Frontier's flight from Puerto Rico to Chicago. Witnesses said that after the passenger attempted to open the door on the jetliner, he attacked an off-duty airline employee who tried to intervene. Here comes the hero of the story. Taking charge of the situation was passenger in seat 31C, a 31-year-old Mansfield native, Josh Longgood, who was returning from his brother's bachelor party in Puerto Rico. It just so happens that Josh was a trained MMA fighter and a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He said when he heard the initial commotion after a man attempted to open the emergency door at 30,000 feet, he knew he had to take decisive action. I was kind of already ready, he said. I had my feet in the aisle. I know he was going to do something crazy. As soon as he did, I jumped on him, controlled him safely, kind of pushed him against the window. Longgood, a 2007 graduate of Mansfield Senior High School and a 2012 graduate of Ohio State, restrained the man in a seatbelt, then assigned other passengers to shackle him with hand ties. So, Florida man went big time this time, Dave.
Yeah,
so not only can you get in the ocean, not only can you not go to the bathroom anymore, but stay off of Frontier and apparently JetBlue too. I've heard some pretty crazy, not JetBlue, but what's the other? Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines. After the plane landed, the suspect, identified as 51-year-old Juan Gabriel Reyes from Pahokee, Florida, was arrested on a charge of battery for attacking an airline employee and was also questioned by FBI agents and is now facing federal charges that include interference with flight crew members. So there you go, Dave. Florida man went big this time on his way home.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, at least it was happening over his state. Earlier this month, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt was met with jeers when he brought up AI during his commencement speech at the University of Arizona. Just days earlier, footage of the real estate executive Gloria Caulfield being booed at her commencement speech at University of South Central Florida after mentioning AI went viral online. What happened? Caulfield asked the ruckus crowd incredulously. Okay, I struck a chord. May I finish? Apart from a completely massive failure to read the room, two incidents of these kinds perfectly highlight massively growing backlash to the controversial tech, with millions of students who are about to enter the workforce becoming fed up of executives celebrating AI and prioritizing investments in the tech that often come at the cost of creating new jobs. Well, seemingly tapping into the widespread frustrations, a Daily Show host and stand-up comedian Ronnie Chang sang a dramatically different tune during a profanity-laden commencement speech at Harvard's Class Day event this week. Can I just say FAI FAI. Chang said, triggering rapturous applause. I'm glad you agree. It's so stupid. A lot of other respected graduation speakers at colleges around America are talking about you guys needing to master AI for the future. I'm here to tell you the mission of your generation is to destroy AI. He told a far more receptive crowd. Chang addressed ongoing concerns that AI may lead to atrophying skills, particularly among students, and a broader phenomena experts have come to call cognitive surrender, in which users abandon their own reasoning to adopt the views of an AI model as their own. He says, I know someone sitting out there right now who is saying, what about the use of AI to pioneer breakthroughs in medicine and physics? If you're using it for that purpose, you're not the problem, Chang said. I'm talking about the accumulation of cognitive debt due to excessive use of large language models. This is why you should be scared of AI. So, yes, students today not wanting to go down the AI road. It's kind of interesting, don't you think?
That is interesting because my children they range in age from let's say 22 to this coming year will be 40. And just in that age graph, the age difference, my 40-year-old son is an AI genius, uses it for everything. My youngest daughter, on the other hand, is almost afraid of it, thinks that it's going to do bad things. And it's, the whole T-1000 deal. You know what I mean? Skynet and everything. So there's, even in that short age gap difference, Dave, say, 17 years, there's that big of a thought pattern difference with AI. Now, we use it at my own job, and I can see where I work where it can be implemented and cost literally thousands of jobs. So that brings us back to another point, Dave. When AI does finally get smart enough and they build robots smart enough to actually do the physical manual labors that we have to go through, and even at jobs that some might consider menial, like customer service over the telephone, where a person used to be needed, but with the development AI. So how does Canadians feel about something that they proposed down here called the universal basic income?
Okay.
To where if the machines are actually generating enough for our gross national product to be profitable, to where the government, we're not going to have these jobs, so we're going to be sitting at home, for them to give us a universal basic income in order to survive and thrive and be happy. Will that lead humanity, Dave, to be able to be more creative and develop new neat things because we have all this free time? Or do you think it's going to go the other way?
I hope not. I don't know. I'm so up in the air with AI right now. Do I use it for this show? Sure. But I'm using it at such a basic level, a basic fun level, that it's not going to compromise anything that we do. But the reliance that people are having on it is what's scary.
Well, where we've developed in my 9-to-5 job, I provide private security for people. And with our cameras, the AI that we've got built into the cameras now have facial recognition and things like that. So it recognizes the people who are more common to your residence, and therefore can pick out lurkers and people who aren't supposed to be there a little more readily. So, you can do good things with it. You can do bad things with it. It just depends on how you use it. And like you said, we use it here at SOR. And it's been really cool. I mean, it's provided things for us that we've wanted for quite a while that without it, we wouldn't have been able to put together.
It happens. All right, let's get to another story here.
Well, I got a good one
Oh,
about
please.
animals right now.
Let's do it.
So, in Bangladesh, every year they have a ritual water buffalo sacrifices. Okay, but this year, one special buffalo was spared. You know what the buffalo's name is?
No.
Donald Trump. A viral Donald Trump buffalo is spared from the EID sacrifice or Eid sacrifice in Bangladesh. The Home Minister ordered the rare albino buffalo be spared after generating significant online interest. It's got Donald Trump's hair and the whole 9 yards, Dave. Spitting image of the Donald. A viral buffalo named Donald Trump for its blonde tuft has been spared from Eid al-Adha, sacrificed after the last-minute government intervention. The rare albino weighed nearly 700 kilograms and had already been sold to the ritual slaughter. But a home ministry official said on Wednesday that authorities had stepped in following a surge of public interest ahead of the Thursday's festival. Home Minister Ahmed ordered the buffalo be spared and the buyer be refunded.
Well, at least that buffalo is not going to turn out to be wings.
And one more thing, since you were a little bit vindictive, when I joined this evening, Dave was eating this thing that I thought he said was in a Dymo bar, but after a little bit of research, I found that they are called Nanaimo bars, Nanaimo. And I even posted a recipe for our YouTube listening audience in our chat this evening. So now the secret's out, Dave. It's not a Canadian thing anymore.
The Nanaimo bar is a fantastic treat. Fantastic treat. We do have some hidden gems up here. That is for sure.
That one, my mom, when I was a kid, she used to make these thing called spider cookies, which were basically just rice noodles with chocolate and peanuts, and she poured them on parchment paper, right? Really easy, simple thing to make at home. But now those bars, I've taken a look at the basic recipe, and you can go 1,000. Those things sound phenomenal.
Well, wait till you try a Nanaimo bar.
Well, and actually, with the day off tomorrow, I think I'm going to be trying a Nanaimo bar.
As you should. As you should. All right, Terry, you ready for the big one?
I am. I have been waiting on this one, so let me have it, Big Daddy.
All right. Well, here we go. Now, this story was recently posted, but it actually happened in 2021. A man died after using a strong glue to seal the end of his penis because he didn't have a condom. 25-year-old Salman Mirza had reunited with his ex-fiancée for a drug-fueled romp at a hotel in India when he decided to slather the epoxy adhesive on his genitals to avoid getting her pregnant. An unnamed police source said the pair were addicts and were known to mix whitener with the epoxy to inhale it for a kick. Several witnesses said that Mirza, along with his former fiancée, both of whom were addicted to drugs, had gone to a hotel in Juhapura. The officer told the publication, since they do not have any protection, they decided to apply the adhesive on his private parts to ensure that nothing would come out. They were carrying the adhesive as they occasionally used it with whitener to inhale the mixture for a little bit of a quick high. A friend of Mirza found him unconscious in the shrubs the day after he checked into the hotel. Why? Well, I guess he decided to run out. He was taken to Sola Civic Hospital, where his condition quickly deteriorated. He later died from multiple organ failure, allegedly caused by sealing the crack of his second head. Mears' family reportedly claimed his ex-fiance was the only one who was there who could have applied the adhesive to his Johnson, and were calling for an inquiry into his death. The 25-year-old's death happened in late June, but is now only being reported. So yes, here's the thing. Nothing good comes from sealing the exit holes on the human body. Nothing good comes from this.
Do you remember that old commercial? This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Please, kids, don't sniff glue. Don't do that. I mean, first off, this brings so many visuals to mind, Dave. Glue's sticky. Doesn't seem like it would aid in much in lubrication in this instance, anyway. Maybe saran wrap? Something? Not glue. Not glue. The whole, nothing makes sense with that. Absolutely none of it makes sense with that. Putting glue on it, yeah, sure. It would seal it up, I would imagine. You'd have to wait for it to dry, but glue's sticky.
At what point would you think that's a good idea? Like, there is nothing in the book of life that says doing this is a good idea.
How high do you have to be to think that that's even a viable option? That's what I want to know. What kind of drugs are they doing in Bangladesh, man?
Well, my goodness. When you look at it, it's just absolutely horrific.
Well,
somebody would think that, hey, I don't want to get her pregnant. So instead of being a little bit more resourceful and humane, I'm going to glue my area shut. So that way it's going to hurt a lot going up, and it's going to hurt a lot going down. Never mind the fact that usually afterwards your body wants to go to the bathroom.
Every man has heard the revenge story about getting things glued to your leg with super glue, as a revenge kind of thing. Why would you do that voluntarily to yourself? None of that makes any sense at all.
I agree.
I don't know. Maybe the guy was just a waste of skin. Maybe he's more happy on the next level. Do you think that stupidity like that, did they even let you into the next level, or did they just throw you in a recycle bin and hope you come out better the next time?
I think they tell you the Darwin room is to the left. Terry, we got 3.5 minutes. You got one more for us?
Actually, Dave, I do. And honestly, it's a place that they could have actually had quite a bit of adventure with. Because in Clark County, down in Las Vegas, they broke the world record for the largest fort blanket, or blanket fort. You remember building blanket forts when we were kids?
Dude,
you
that
get
was
the cushions
cool.
off the couch, and you throw some blankets. Well, down in Las Vegas this week, in a group effort, they have broken the record for the largest blanket fort, 21,562 square feet.
I love it.
I
want to play
cushions
under there.
and blankets.
I want to play under there.
So maybe if they would have gone to Las Vegas, considering it was the largest blanket fort in the world, maybe they were passing out condoms there and they could have just avoided the whole thing. And they would have had a place to go and had a quite a unique romp in the largest blanket fort on the planet.
Well, you wouldn't have needed any glue, that's for sure. Protect the helmet, boys. Protect the helmet. That's all I got to say.
We run across everything from people gluing it shut to people towing cars with it. What's next, man?
Another UFO tranche. That's what's next. One that will show us a bunch of games of Pong on the videos and probably some more NASA files.
What did you think of that Air Force drop that happened? what was it, day before yesterday? On the National Archives? Didn't they drop some more on the National Archives?
did.
They did. I haven't had a chance to look at those yet.
Well, you know what? We're going to look at them soon because that's what we do around here on Spaced Out Radio, Terry Hall. We do
You
that.
always have the best. You always have the best. You do, you do, you do.
Absolutely. And we try our best for all of our listeners tuning us in because this is the one segment of the week that I absolutely love because we go such hardcore on monsters, legends, UFOs, aliens, disclosure, the paranormal, supernatural, and everything in between that it's nice to have Terry Hall come on in here and actually just allow us to chill, relax, and have a good laugh, or maybe a quick shake of the body, pardon me, because we're just absolutely going crazy that somebody glued themselves and died over it. I mean,
that's a voluntary thing. That was a voluntary action. That one's gonna be making my horn itch for a while, Dave.
Well, you know what? It is a big horn that you have. Terry's a unicorn. For our radio audience, Terry is a unicorn.
Time to get your horns up.
Absolutely.
That's what we
Terry
do
Hall,
here at SOR.
Big thank you, guys, for coming on in tonight and bringing us the weird news of the week. The best part about it is a week from now, we will do it all again with brand new news from all around the world. So thank you, Terry.
Hey, we can always count on Florida, man.
It has been a great week so far on Spaced Out Radio as we look forward to see whether a third tranche will drop this Friday or we'll have to wait another week before anything else comes out. There's no news yet. We're hoping for the announcement to come soon. So you have to stay here to find out, as we will talk to you very, very soon. We say goodnight to you and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job tonight, Terry Hall.
Good job tonight, Dave Scott. So, mañana, when you get into the studio, if you want to bounce some ideas around, give me a holla. I'll be available.
You off tomorrow?
You know I am, boss. Yeah, I gotta run over to a little town called Canby in the morning for about 2 hours, and then for the rest of the day, I'm gonna be just kind of kicking it in the studio here. So yeah,
that sounds like a lot of fun, dude.
Alrighty, well, guys, thanks for having me again. It's been a ball. Don't forget, CIA steals gold bars, and so do I. Have a great rest of your night.
See you, Terry Hall, everybody. Mustached wonder himself. Right there. Mustache Wonder himself. You know what's funny about this light right here? Bigfoot light. I've never turned it to white. And yet for the last couple days, it's been white. Go blue. Or red. Red. There we go. There we go. All right. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to be going on with Walter M. Sterling on WABC out of New York for Other Side of Midnight. Thank you tonight to T-Bone with a hat trick, Mickey and Baba and Mystery for the super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, we are going to have, my calendar would open up, Everett Themer will be here. The way they are marketing UFOs and disclosure. It's going to be an important topic. We'll talk to Everett about that tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and let me tell you, or you tell me what you think. Good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.